Good morning. It's Monday, March the 8th, and we're here for another 4 minutes of devotion. Today, we're going to talk about that second temptation, the temptation to security, where the devil takes Jesus up to the very top of the temple and says, "Jump off. He will send his angels to catch you, and not a hair of your head will be harmed." To which Jesus replies, "It's also written, don't tempt the Lord your God." The temptation is for Jesus to presume upon the promises and just toss himself off, knowing that God will catch him. And Jesus says that's not how faith behaves. We don't do things like that just because God might take care of us. So let's talk this week about security and its various ramifications. And first of all, I'd like to look at the Old Testament for a few minutes. If you think about Israel, if this is the Mediterranean coast, here's Israel. And down here is Egypt, where it still is. And up here would be the Assyrian Empire, and then later over here a little bit, the Babylonian Empire. It looked exactly like that, you know. And so Egypt was sort of the fading older superpower of the day, and the Assyrians were the new power, and they were fighting against Egypt. And these little kingdoms, and there were 4 or 5 of them on the way. They were just little kingdoms in the way, but the road came down through Israel to Egypt. So any army wanting to take Egypt had to go through Israel, and that really wasn't a problem for most of the armies. The Egyptians, on the other hand, wanted a buffer state. They wanted a little state up there to keep them more safe. And so they were constantly negotiating with the kings of Israel, and so were the Assyrians. And so there was this back and forth. And Isaiah says at one point in chapter 31, verse 1, "Woe to those who go down to Egypt for help and rely on horses, who trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong, but do not look to the Holy One of Israel or consult the Lord." So it's trusting in the chariots of Egypt that's a problem. Trust the Lord, God says, "I will take care of you." And instead, they keep making treaties and things with Egypt. And if you read in 2 Kings, all the way through there, you see these kings that are fairly weak, and they're panicked by the coming of the Assyrians and then later the Babylonians, who are basically interchangeable as far as the geopolitics are concerned. Don't trust in the horses of Egypt. Trust in the Lord. He will deliver you. That's the message to the nation. We might say, well, don't trust in your nuclear arsenal that can destroy the world 30 times over. Trust in God, and He will help and deliver the nation. For us personally, trust in the Lord. Don't seek all these other kinds of solutions, but trust God first, and He will lead you to solutions that work. Keep that in mind today, and we'll talk more tomorrow.